Coastal Championship Wrestling here at Coral Springs Charter School in South Florida. And I'm here with wrestling's multi-talented...
Where is this person that you speak?
Matt Striker!
Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. So, Matt, tell us some of the things you're doing now. Because we did a little pre-talk, and just some of the things are so cool. And we'll get a little bit into baseball and football.
Yeah, I'm real fortunate to have done everything in pro wrestling, thank God. Now I'm in the production and the direction part of it, into the production truck, what you see on TV, how it gets prepared. I'm in that realm now, and I'm also doing fantasy football and fantasy baseball up in New York, and Fantasy Baseball Hour. It's on the Fantasy Sports Network. And just, I went back to graduate school. I don't think you're ever too old to get your education. I can go back to teaching. And just want to love what I do. I don't ever want to wake up and go, ugh, I gotta go to work. It's just not the way to live.
How did you get involved with baseball and football when you were younger, playing youth league, high school?
When I was a kid, my father would quiz me every night via the newspaper who leads the NL in average, name the top 10, home runs. So I've always been a baseball guy. Fantasy baseball came along about, I want to say 10 years ago for me. I started really winning money. Daily fantasy, rest of season, league-wide. And I've been playing since I was a kid, but I never knew you could win money. Once I found out that you can monetize your passion for baseball, it was a no-brainer. I went right into the industry, and thank God I'm doing okay.
All right, so your favorite team, favorite players?
Yeah, growing up, I watched Ozzie Smith do backflips out to shortstop. And I grew up in New York. Met in Yankee country, but I became a St. Louis Cardinal fan. But my favorite players of all time are a San Diego Padre, Tony Gwynn, an Atlanta Brave, Greg Maddux, a Houston Astro, Nolan Ryan. So I like hitters, I like pitchers, but the Cardinals are still my team, and of course the Yankees.
Why the Cardinals and not the Yankees or Mets then?
Because of guys like Ozzie Smith and Terry Pendleton and Jack Clark and Vince Coleman. It was just the kind of baseball that I grew up watching.
Coach Tony La Russa.
Yeah, Tony La Russa, Whitey Herzog. And growing up, and now being in New York and watching the Mets just slide abysmally, I just think it's the way the organization, you know, the water that is in the bricks that made the foundation. It's a poor organization. You look at what's happening in South Florida with Miami, there was a fire sale. And yet there are still players that you can go down and buy a ticket and go watch some of the finest players in the league. And it says a lot about the Marlins organization. As far as the Mets go, they've squandered guys like Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard and Steven Matz and Zach Wheeler. And the bright spots are Jeff McNeil and Peter Alonso. But beyond that, they just squander opportunities. So I can talk to you baseball all day.
Oh, baseball's great. And it's something down here because you mentioned the Marlins.
Yes.
And just everything that's going on. And now Derek Jeter, heavily involved in the Marlins. But when you see a team like that, where they've done this so many times, where they've had these players, and then you see like now, Stan's injured, but you see like Yelich and Azuna,
you guys
all
gave
these
away
players just
a World Series.
really did. I mean, that's when we look at that and all, and it just, I'm wondering from your perspective as a New York sports fan, I know you're a Cardinals fan, but a New York sports fan, I mean, I could never see though that happening like it happened. It's not like the Mets aren't trying and all these things happen. Omar Minaya, Omar didn't do great with them.
You don't know who you're giving away. You know, I mean, the Yankees turned around and they sent a kid named Justice Sheffield to Seattle. And you don't know if in 2-3 years that he may become a real stud. And a lot of the names that you're hearing in Miami were brought over because of trades. You know, you hear the Alcantaras, you hear the Gallons, you hear the Lopez's, you hear the Smiths. A lot of these guys aren't homegrown. You know, but I think Jeter and the rest of the crew are going to do some great things in Miami. As long as the fans come out. What is going on with the empty stadium all the time? Geez, Tampa St. Pete makes Miami look like, come on.
And they want to leave. They want to move too, or they want to half and half. How about that?
Yeah,
half and half.
I think the Mets should be folded, and you should bring back the Expos. Let the Rays stay in Tampa. Let the Marlins stay in Florida, Miami, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, there you go.
How good of a baseball player were you?
I played second base and center field, and it's funny because all my teammates used to make fun of me. Every time everyone would run out, they'd always turn back to see where I was, and this is the way my dad raised me. I always just take a knee and give thanks, you know, but that's just me. That's how I am, you know. In the morning I give thanks, at night I give thanks. So everybody's running out on the field, and little Matthew is still on his knee just giving thanks. But to me, the fact that you can wake up and run and play ball and breathe fresh air and all those things. It's not lost on me that it could always be worse. So be happy with what you got.
Were you a leadoff hitter?
No. I hit third. I hit seventh.
Seventh, I can see.
But
Second
you understand me, I'm a kid, and I had my speed, so anywhere I was, and line drive hitter all the way.
Did you have aspirations of playing pro ball?
Sure, of course. Who didn't? You know, who didn't? I slept with my glove. I did all those things, and I started playing hockey as a kid. And hockey in New York, you don't really do. I had more aspirations to turn pro there, and then I went and I played in a tournament in Canada. I was 18. These Canadian kids were 16, and they would just dance right by me. And even my dad was like, "Listen, maybe you should get an education, be a school teacher." I said, "Okay, sounds good, Dad."
Was it hard giving up sport to then go into education at the time?
No, again, my father was a huge influence on me, rest his soul. And he always told me, you got to love what you do when you wake up in the morning. So don't wake up in the morning and hate your life, because you'll go to an early grave. So being a teacher to me isn't a job. I get to talk to kids for 6 hours and tell them about World War II, or tell them that everything they see on the TV isn't real, and that the monster that the news tells you someone is. Go research that for yourself. To me, that's where I really got a thrill out of it.
Teaching. How long have you been a teacher?
I taught for 4.5 years before WWE came calling, and then once I was out of WWE, I tinkered around a little bit with Lucha Underground, but went back to get my master's in educational psychology so I can go back to the classroom. To anyone out there, no matter how old you are, you can go back to school and you can get that piece of paper, and it could be a 1-year degree, it could be a 2-year degree. Just have it, because then no one can tell you what to do with your life. You can say, I'm going to go do this. And to kids out there that think college is a waste of time, in this day and age, the American dream is alive. You can make $1 million doing something, but just take 2 years, just 2. Go to a community college, go somewhere and get a 2-year degree. You never know. You can get a nursing degree. You can get a lot of degrees in 2 years. So to me, it's worth it. Education is the one thing that no matter where you are in the world, they can never take it from you.
Another thing too with education is because some of these colleges are so expensive and these student loans are crazy. Doing a 2-year JUCO, getting that degree, and then going from there, whether you go to the work field then or go to a 2-year university to finish it, is a lot cheaper, cost effective as well, and you're getting something, and then you could see from there. So there's a lot of different options out there available.
Absolutely.
What I wanted to know is then, how does Matt, the teacher, all of a sudden, were you a wrestling fan growing up then too? Who did you like, and then how did you get into that journey?
When I'm 7 years old, my dad turns to me on a rainy Saturday and he says, do you want to see someone fly? What 7-year-old kid's going to say no to that? We were supposed to go to a movie that day, but instead we stayed home and we watched wrestling. And my dad proceeded to tell me stories about how his father, my grandfather, would take his shoe off and hurl it at the television every time Johnny Rodz would come on the screen. Fast forward, where do I go to get trained? Johnny Rodz. To me, there's a saying, it's a beshert. It means it's meant to be. So to me, you know, it's not lost on me that there's a divine hand in everything. So just be happy with what you got.
Johnny Rodz, that is just one of the talents, not only in the ring, but then training. Yeah. So many have trained through Johnny Rodz and all. What was that experience like, working with him, trained by him? When
I first went in there for the first 6 weeks, they just beat me up. They didn't tell me. They did not tell me, but I kept coming back. Every single day I kept coming back. Cracked ribs, came back. Torn tendons in my ankle, came back. Fractured orbital bone, came back. Kept cauliflower ear, came back. Finally they said, man, either you're stupid or you really love this. And from there it just became this passion, this labor of love. And I would come home and I remember my body would be just, I mean, you think about it, you're not used to falling down. Like, that's what you have to retrain yourself. And I would be so broken and all this, and my dad would just always say to me, don't give up. Don't give up. You never know what's going to happen. And I'm going to cry because he got to see me at WrestleMania. He got to watch me. And he's the one that told me to never give up.
It's good you brought that up, because I was going to ask you that, how proud Dad was of you doing that, and then also where he got to see you and get like that, and such a big moment that he was able to see you at WrestleMania and get involved with that. What do you take out of your years being with WWE and all the different experiences that you had there?
Now that I'm older, I sit back and I have these like inner monologues, these dialogues with the universe, God, there's got to be a reason I was there. And there are some negative things that I had to learn about being there, and there's some positive things. But looking back, the one thing that I think that I can learn and pass on is I remember seeing people treated like garbage. And I remember saying to myself, I'll never be that way. I'm here now at Coastal Championship Wrestling, and I'm in a locker room. I make sure I go over and I shake everyone's hand, and I ask everyone how they're doing. And to me, I'm the rookie because I'm a guest here, and CCW is nice enough to open up their house so that I can be here. To me, I want to leave a lasting impression on the guys in this locker room because I know they're trained so well. Pablo is a fantastic trainer, but he's even a better human being, and I think that's important. You can teach someone to be a great wrestler, but if they go out there and they're an a-hole, all their talent goes away. But when they carry Pablo's name, they're also carrying the type of person he is, and I think that's very important because people will always remember. I think it's Maya Angelou who said, they won't remember what you said, they won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And I've known Pablo a long time, and every time we've ever crossed paths, he makes me feel like I'm his brother. And I think it's important to make every man and woman in the locker room feel like they are a star.
CCW, that's what it's been like for all these men and women that have trained here under Pablo at the training facility. It's interesting to see that when you're here and actually get to see and be a part of the show, how does that make you feel to see that things are being done the right way and that you see nice crowds out there too?
It's great because I talk about it often when guys like Pablo and Johnny Rodz and all these guys are gone, who's going to be teaching this stuff? You know, so when I come here and I see that it's being done right and everyone's having a good time, it inspires me because I don't want to go out there and rest on my laurels. Joe DiMaggio was once asked, why do you hustle after every ball out there? You're Joe DiMaggio. And his answer was, there's someone in this ballpark that's never seen me play before and I owe it to them. There's someone out there tonight that's never seen me before. They have no idea who Matt Striker is. So I owe it to them, I owe it to everyone in the locker room, I owe it to Pablo to go out and give my very best because I may not wake up tomorrow. There you go.
And Matt,
sir,
commentating.
Yes, sort of about it.
How did that come into being? And geez, another career.
Since I'm a little kid, I've been calling matches into a tape recorder. My mother still has the cassette tapes of me calling G.I. Joe matches, my action figures. So when Vince came to me and said, would you want to? He didn't have to finish a sentence. I just said, yes, sit me down and let me do what I've been doing since I'm 7. There are just some things I think that the universe wills you to do. And I get a lot of comfort in my faith. I don't worry. Do not worry about what you will say come the time of trial because it will be put into your heart what to say. And I firmly believe that. We can't control anything. There's nothing new under the sun. So just go with the flow, man.
And Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Working with Vampiro was certainly interesting because he's legitimately insane. But being a part of Lucha Underground was certainly something that I value because it was revolutionary and it re-galvanized people's interest in wrestling again. People come to me all the time and say, you know, I stopped watching years ago, but boy, that Lucha Underground. So it was nice to be a part of it. Hopefully they can find a new home and bring something back. Never say never.
Matt, do you have social media for fans?
Yes, Twitter, @Matt_Striker_. It's a lot of music and baseball talk. I'll engage in wrestling every now and then again, but just trying to branch out. And on Instagram is Real Matt Striker. And if you ever, whether we have ever met or not, if you're ever going through anything, if you ever think you're alone, hit me up. I promise you I will answer you. I will talk to you. Email me, direct message me. You're never alone, no matter what. And I know that a lot of times it feels like the world is closing in around you, but the sun always comes up. And you have a friend in me, whether you've ever met me or not. So I owe that to the world.
And lastly, any fantasy baseball tips? Anything you can share right now for anybody?
Well, it all depends on what your team is looking for. Second half is coming. Don't sleep on the guys that have had a poor first half. They will come around, you know, the Joey Vottos and the Matt Carpenters of the world. But there's also a lot of great young players out there. And if you can get your hands on a Ramon Moriano, for instance, or someone of this nature, you certainly could be helping yourself. I'm sorry there are really no Marlins that you can actually... Gallen's good, but beyond that, as a pitcher, he's not going to get a lot of wins. You can get your strikeouts when Smith comes back, but that's what I got for you.
It's interesting that the Yankees and the Twins are
doing home runs like it's their job.
It's crazy though, and no one saw this with the Yankees, with everybody getting hurt.
That's it.
Like that and all.
Yeah.
Is it just their system, their minor league system. It's just
it's a system. You can plug anyone in there. It's a system. A friend of mine is Chris Paddock. He pitches for the Padres, and Paddock, up until facing the Yankees, Yankee Stadium, had not given up a home run to a right-handed bat all season long. He gave up 3 that game, and it just goes to show you that the Yankee coaching staff are watching film, and they picked up something, whether he tips his slide or he does something, and they were able to yoke 3 off of him. So it's just things like that. The organization is just very, very good.
And lastly, now we'll get to lastly.
Yes, sir.
So, of all the matches you called, all the matches you've wrestled,
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to ask you for one, that's too hard, but just who are some of the ones that stand out in your mind that you were just like, this was so great calling that match and that person and all?
I got to call Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and that was a thrill for me. That's the one that really stands out, just because they're so special.
Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.